What's up, investors? It's the Russian dude. I'm sure you heard that YouTube is experiencing very big problems in Russia. Sometimes the website does not open at all, or if it does open, the buffering speed and the quality is extraordinarily bad. It is not the first website that Putin's regime restricted inside Russia, not the last one. But what makes YouTube ban so particularly worth exploring in our case is the reason behind the restriction, the justification, and the method the government decided to do and present it. Unlike other unfriendly websites which just got blocked, YouTube is still kinda operational, but using it comes at a significant effort. Yet, people of Russia still do it. In today's video, let's talk about the real reason why YouTube is getting prohibited in Russia. We will uncover one of the biggest lies and deceptions of Putin's administration, something what is not obvious at all until you investigate the problem deeper. And we will witness the high price of unchallenged narratives. So you guys probably already know how propaganda works, right? The best way to get people to believe your stories is to leave them with no choice. Not few choices, not just a couple, none. Imagine you live in a house with just one window. The view you see is the entire reality. Even if you have another window which just reveals the view just a little bit to the left, you might now already have quite literally two viewpoints. When you look outside of one window, you might not see something that can be seen through the other. That is why it is so important for the state to leave people with one and only choice. No alternatives, however small or insignificant they might seem. It sometimes can get to such levels of absurdity that it does not matter if there is a literal war going on right outside of your door. If you cannot see it, you will not believe it. There are cases when propaganda gets even stronger and people choose to believe the official narrative broadcasted on TV rather than literally their own eyes. But that's an extreme case. Doesn't mean that it does not happen in Russia. That's exactly the scenario the Putin's administration wants. And if you think about the number of newspapers, radio stations and TV networks they control, you would assume they are set, but apparently it is still not enough. Why not? Because in an autocracy, having a monopoly on the information is the difference between staying in power for a lifetime or getting tossed out in a matter of weeks if not days. Even the slightest slip can cause a domino effect, resulting in the dictatorship downfall similar to a house of cards. The regime is extremely fragile, and the biggest effort it has to make is to maintain the image of being strong and immovable. Even a single stray window that shows a different perspective can destroy the entire official narrative. YouTube, for all of its cat videos, cooking tutorials and random comedic sketches, also provides uncensored news, alternative viewpoints, and channels like this one that directly challenge the idea that war is peace and evil is good. That's precisely why YouTube must go, according to Putin. In the eyes of the regime, it is not just a platform for entertainment, it is a persistent crack in the wall they've carefully built around the people of Russia. They tried to genuinely control it at first, awarding the foreign agent status to every Russian-speaking YouTuber who was not supporting the invasion. But logically, it became unsustainable to control everyone and everything. They physically could not watch every single video in Russian language uploaded on YouTube, so they decided to take care of the platform itself. If you keep watching independent news channels or read comments on YouTube left by Russian people, you quickly realize that I'm not the lone weirdo in the sea of devoted Putin's fans. The Russian Dude is not the only YouTube channel started by a Russian talking against the invasion. I'm sure you have a couple more channels you are watching on a regular basis. If you understand Russian or if some Russian-speaking YouTubers put English subtitles in their videos, you will be able to see comment sections full of people who share our concerns. People who question whether sending young men to die for nothing but official slogans is worth it. People who do not buy into the official "we are saving the world from monsters" line. And people who simply know that Putin invaded Ukraine and Ukrainians are defending their land. It is as simple as that. People like this is a huge threat to the government. So they see their purpose as to isolate such people in their ideologies, so that eventually they start doubting their own sanity. It is just the basic human nature. Subconsciously, you always want to be on the majority side, on the winning side. If you are in a company of 10 friends and 9 of them suggest going to a restaurant you do not like, you are more likely to join them and try to convince yourself to give this restaurant another chance, rather than confronting all 9 of them and making you all go to a restaurant of your choosing. What if they don't like it? You ask yourself. They will all blame you because you suggested this restaurant. You don't want this responsibility. You want to avoid the potential conflict. So you just suppress your will and desire and follow the crowd. It's a classic trick of authoritarian regimes. Make it look like as if everyone supports the war. Then, if you disagree, you must be the weird one. Except you are not. There are far more people who see through the hypocrisy that they like you to know. They do not have the resources to round up everyone who dares to whisper dissent, so they prefer to different tactic. Convince you that you stand alone. If they manage to stamp out that sense of community and crush the idea that there might be thousands or even millions who share your views, they have effectively disabled any collective pushback. Unfortunately, this is what the regime of Putin mastered over the last 2 decades. There is a reason why leaders of most countries cannot be ruling for more than 2 consecutive terms. And this is one of them. Presidents cannot hold their offices for too long, otherwise they get obsessed with power and learn new tricks how to keep it. And the longer it continues, the harder it becomes to take such person out of power. But it is never impossible. So, why the crackdown on YouTube at this point in time? Why not 2 years ago, right after the full-scale invasion began, or a year after, when discontent was clearly rising? Well, the government initially believed their massive propaganda machine could do the heavy lifting. They poured billions of rubles into creating similar platforms and tried to lure away popular creators. But those efforts failed completely. Because, let's face it, nobody wants to watch a third-rate knockoff site with glitchy code and zero interesting content. They wanted people to switch from YouTube to a local copy, and people simply said, no, thank you. After realizing they can't build a new platform that even remotely matches YouTube's convenience, they fell back on plan B, destroy the original. The approach is subtle at first. Degrade the service, let videos buffer forever, and whisper rumors that it was actually Google who abandoned the Russian market. In reality, Google never left Russia. The browser itself is available and fully functional, and as you guys might know, well, Google owns YouTube. The only restriction that YouTube did against Russia was to prohibit Russian content creators from making money through its platform. Well, that's about it. Google did not restrict YouTube in Russia. Putin did. Eventually, it looks like that the plan is to push it to a complete ban, hoping that by that time most people will shrug and just say, we have already gotten used to watching movies on some shady local platform anyway, so we don't care. But let me tell you what, people are not having it. The regime of Putin once again underestimated its own people, thinking they will just obediently go where they are told, but it did not happen. Russians prefer to go through extra steps like downloading and paying for a VPN service, reconfiguring their Wi-Fi modems, and doing some other coding trickery rather than simply switching to RootTube. The numbers confirm it as well. Even the biggest creators get 10 to 20% of their regular views on Russian YouTube equivalents. But as soon as they publish a video back on their original platform, YouTube itself, the numbers seemingly, do not change. Yes, there might be a decline of 10% or so, but it is still much higher than on these Russian websites. Right now, many Russians who once used YouTube just to watch food recipes or cat videos are learning about VPNs for the very first time. Don't worry guys, this is not some sleazy transition to a VPN sponsor, no. People are annoyed, of course, because they have to pay extra money just to access a platform they once used to open freely. But they are taking that step, and once they do, a whole new world opens up. Unfiltered news, political commentary, educational videos that are not curated by some bureaucrat who thinks science is optional if it does not align with the official narrative and slogans. That's why the government hates VPNs with a passion too. They threaten another potential window. Every day dozens new VPN services appear in Russia, and 9 of them get blocked within a week. There is a constant battle of VPN companies and the government. That's why some of them have an option of weekly, daily or even single-use plans, because they know that people do not want to pay for an annual subscription for a service which might be terminated in, 3 days. And in my personal opinion, this can be considered as the slightest rebellion against the regime. People do not want to use the platform that the government promotes. In fact, they are ready to jump through extra hoops just not to use it. Massive government's resources are spent on this fight. Just think about discovering and banning dozens of VPNs every single day, one by one. The regime spends money, brain and manpower just to solve these issues. Because coming back to the very beginning of today's video, even the slightest, seemingly non-important event can lead to the regime's downfall. And this is yet another trap that Putin set for himself. He is already swamped with hundreds other daily tasks, so adding extra things to his plate will only make it easier for something to get out of balance, causing the entire construction to fall apart. And that's how it should be. That's how it should end. Because the price of unchallenged narratives is extremely high. The more people submit themselves to the will of Putin, the harder for them it will become to break the routine and challenge these illusory norms. Putin wants people to do nothing. That's the easiest thing ever. Procrastination and laziness is also a part of our nature. So by doing even these smallest acts of dissent, the people of Russia try to cause the cracks in the system. Just so one day, hopefully sooner rather than later, something unexpected happens that always leads to an obvious result: the fall of a dictator. Well, there you have it, guys. If you enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe to my channel for more videos like this. If you wish to support my work, there are links down below. Thanks so much for watching, happy new year, and see you tomorrow.
We won't succumb to their tricks, the facade they try to sell. Their twisted words and feeble claims on us all they cannot quell. We see through their lies, their feeble attempts to sway. We do not believe in ridiculous Russian propaganda.